Y'all ever hear that song, Alan Jackson, George Strait, Murder on Music Row? That's what I feel about my Uncle Josh Pork Frogs. I feel like there's been a murder committed and somebody needs to pay for it. I'm going to see if I can bore y'all real quick a little bit with some talk about the old frog again, the jigging frog, some thoughts I have on it, some things that I know, some speculations I have, and I just love that frog. I love that thing every month out of the year. I'll be right back. Oh, pork frog, I got a lot of good memories about it. I've talked about it several times on the channel. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep fishing it. I've had people say, well, if it's so good, how come they quit making them? The original demise of the pork frog started with the advances in soft plastics and mostly the colors, in my opinion. When laminated colors come out and all the flake come out, and people like Purdy, y'all. That's just the way it is. Folks love Purdy. And I make baits. I sell baits. I get it mostly. You can't beat Purdy for catching fishermen. And pork frogs generally weren't very pretty. So they started coming out with the colored ones, like the blues and the oranges. They always did have that green spotted frog looking one. They tried to get Purdy. Black and chartreuse was the first one I ever bought in the 11A. The A was the designation for colored pork frogs. That doesn't really mean much, I guess, except they weren't as purty as soft plastics. The biggest thing that happened with pork frogs, though, was not, I don't believe that, although probably that would have been the end eventually anyway. The biggest issue with pork was the quality of it. It got bad. And the reason it got bad is a whole political statement that I probably can't get into because the way the world is, the way the world's going downhill, we're sliding sideways. Randy talks about it all the time. It's just a fact. I'm not in the mood to get into politics and the drama of that. I ain't in the mood for it. What happens is, though, the pork wasn't as good. The fat and the rind that they used. And why that was, I have to go this far, is we don't raise our pork like we used to. I've raised dirt hogs. A butcher hog at 200, 250 pounds, if it took 8, 9, 10 months to get there, was only taking half that amount of time. Still, I don't know. I'm just guessing. What happens is we're growing our meat faster to make more of it and cheaper. It's economics. It's having to feed the masses. But what happens when you grow it faster, it does not get the fat and the rind like it used to. So you start getting this pork frogs. I've got some of the later ones. They're soft and mushy. The holes that they punch in would be warbled out. Matter of fact, I bought some of the last ones I ever saw. When they advertised it was going to quit making it, I bought some, and the rind, they had no holes in it at all. You had to put your own hole in it. It's probably the only way to get one we could stay on the hook, I imagine. So when quality became an issue, obviously it's hard to make a good product. Uncle Josh kind of quit making the pork. That was actually not that many years ago. 2016 maybe, something like that. I heard about it. I just started fishing serious again. I went to every Walmart I could and I bought every bottle I could. I think $5 or $6 a bottle. And all they had was solid black and blue. And black and blue, like I have on right now, is my least favorite color in the world. But they weren't making them anymore. And again, these are not the quality of a lot of them old glass bottle ones that I have. Just a fact. Now, I understand. I've seen Randy do a video. There's a couple of new companies, or at least one new company, making pork frogs. They're expensive. Of course, pork frogs last forever if you take care of them. If you keep them in a good brine solution, if you don't let them get dried out too much, they last a long time. I've only lost a couple pork frogs in my life that I ever beat any off a hook. I mean, they are crazy. If the rind's good, they're hard to get on off a hook anyway. I think Uncle Josh maybe was making them again. I just don't know. I just know the way we're raising our hogs nowadays, they're not going to be as good as they used to be. Matter of fact, you know what? Have you ever seen lard in the store recently? Anybody here use lard besides us country folk? Lard is just pitiful compared to what it used to be. When we get lard, we get it from local ground hogs, dirt hogs that are just the way they're supposed to be. And lard has a lot of lard is way safer for you, by the way, than any vegetable oil. It ain't 1 molecule away from plastic. Politics, I ain't doing the drama. Pork frogs are excellent. I really think pork frogs are where the first salt come out in plastic worms, like Jean LaRue, because they're in a salty brine solution. I think maybe folks figured that helped. Maybe that's one thing that made them work so good, was that brine, that salt. Man, they're salty. I don't know. That's conjecture again. I'm not saying I know anything about this, except the fact that pork frogs are one of my favorites. And I'm going to do a whole other video on why. Again, I think I've talked about it before. I need to catch some big old fish on video to prove it. They're still, what they do in the water, they don't have the color, they don't have the action. They still catch a lot of big bass. I'll try to prove that before I do a video about that, okay? I'm going back to fishing. I took a 15-minute break in a beautiful day to talk about pork frogs, because I love my pork frogs. I'm going back to it. I'm hoping to catch one or two on that jigging frog before the day's over. Some days they like the worm better. That may be one of those days today. Appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate the comments. I listen. I try to respond to every one of them. I very rarely not respond to a positive comment. A few negative ones I've just clicked off of over the years, but it's all good. I hope y'all are having a wonderful time. I hope y'all have a day like this coming up for you pretty soon. God bless. We'll talk to you later.